Okay, we are live. So thank you everyone for joining us this morning. Today we have Jill Hart from Mercy College, and she's going to be helping us out with resumes, giving us advice, tips, tricks for resumes and cover letters. So it's a really important topic. Jill, sorry, I was looking at Jen. Jill, take it away. Go ahead.
Okay, wonderful. And Catherine, you're going to put the deck on the.
I am.
Okay. Well, welcome, ladies. Thank you for joining me today. I am Senior Director of Career Services at Mercy College, and I've been doing career services for almost 3 years, and before that ran an internship program recruiting nationally and training students for Fortune 500 internships. So we have a lot of background on our team and a lot of experience. We work with employers all the time, so I'm very confident that what I'm going to share with you today is relevant. So I'm excited about it, and I love resumes. And I also wanted to tell you that my contact information is included at the back of the deck, and I would love for you to reach out to me, and I'm happy to provide individual help. Because I know you all study different things, you all have different experiences and backgrounds, so I'm more than happy to work individually with each of you going forward. So I'll stop periodically, but let me know if you have any questions as we go through this. So Catherine, if you want to, so there we go. So how to build a great resume and why you should care. First of all, everything is done in the professional world through resumes and cover letters. So any kind of internship or job, you're going to have a resume and a cover letter. And in today's world, with everything going electronically, there are thousands of people that apply to opportunities. So you really have to stand out when you create a resume and a cover letter. So we're going to talk through that and talk about some of the most important things that that employers share with us in terms of resumes. So Catherine, if you could go to, if you take one thing away today, the next slide would be great. So if you take one thing away today when you're applying, I want you to remember that it's not so much about you as it's about what the employer needs and why you're the best person. So you have to, when you apply for a job or an internship, think about it from the employer's perspective. So read the job description very carefully, because they're going to share with you what they're looking for. And then when you write a cover letter and when you look at your resume, think about it from, here's what they need, and this is why I'm great for this. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but put yourself in the employer's head. If they say they need a set of skills, they're looking for certain things, you want to be able to address those things to the best of your ability, because that's what they're looking for. They need to get work done, and you want to be the person that they choose to do that. So we're gonna talk a little bit more about that. Also, graduate schools, if you're planning, to apply to graduate school. Also, we'll have to create a resume and a letter, and you want to know what they're looking for and write it accordingly as well. So the next slide, and are the slides up, you guys? Are they okay? Can you see your resume? It's important to get it right. Catherine, are we on the next slide? Okay, so your resume, it's important to get it right. All I did here, you guys, was put in a few quotes to just help you understand some of the things that are of major importance. So, gone in 60 seconds. I mean, recruiters spend less than a minute looking at your resume. So you guys are going to spend hours putting your resumes together and customizing them. And then they're going to get, they're in a pile, and they get looked at quickly. So you have to write them really well, and I'm going to talk to you about how to do that. They say with a stack of resumes to review, recruiters naturally want to make their workload easier. So if you have any mistakes on your resume, out they go. So no grammar mistakes and no spelling mistakes. The top thing employers are looking for across the board is strong communication skills. So they're looking for people who can write and speak well. And so if you have mistakes on your resume, it looks like you didn't take the time, you don't have attention to detail, and you might not know how to do business communications. So, and you might not, and you might think to yourself, but I don't. But you'll learn it. But by not having mistakes is the top important thing, to have a nice looking resume. And I'm going to show you. And also, I'm happy afterwards, if you'd like it, to send you a Word doc of a resume format that you can just throw your information in. We've created kind of a library of those at Mercy College for our students. Happy to share those with you if that would be helpful to you. So also the next quote, if you really want my attention, make it clear how you're a great fit for the specific role. So never send a generic cover letter and resume out to every opportunity. You'll probably use the same resume for most of the things you apply for, but your cover letter has to be specific for that opportunity. Because if it isn't, it just looks like you don't really care about their job. And remember, it's about the employer. They're looking for someone to join their team, and you want to make it look like you want to be on their team. So that's why that's important. Why should I waste my time with someone who doesn't spell check his or her own resume with so many outstanding candidates to look for? So again, I won't keep going through this, but focus on making sure you don't have any mistakes. And people will help you. People will help you. I'll help you. Like if you have an internship opportunity and you want somebody to review your resume and cover letter, shoot it on to me, and I'll give you some honest feedback on it. Next chart. Building blocks of a resume. So there's 4, and the next chart after this, which we're not going to go to quite yet, but I'm going to show you a resume sample and we'll talk it through. But in the building blocks of a resume, at the very top, if you're in, I'm assuming you're all in college, but even if after college, you might put your education at the bottom. But if you're in college, you are going to put your education in the top section. And that's going to put your formal degree name that you're studying, and I'll show you that on the next slide, and when you expect to graduate. It's going to have your GPA, some things. Oh, yeah. Can we go to the next chart, please, Catherine?
Sure.
Building blocks of a resume. Sorry. So education is at the top, and the next section is going to be experience. And in experience, you're going to show your internships and jobs that you've had. Now, that might be, for a lot of students, the only thing they've done is say they worked as, in a store, or they worked in a restaurant as a waitress, or my first job, I cleaned pots at KFC. But it shows, by having any kind of a job, it shows that you had the responsibility of a job, you had to get to work on time, about, having to be responsible. So jobs are important, even if they don't seem like they're relevant to what you're trying to get, the job you're going for. We start somewhere. Any job is good experience. Catherine, I see your resume. It's important to get it right. Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, great. Well, there was a building blocks of a resume that we missed, but that's okay. Yep. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Thank you. So experience. So it's your contributions in bullet form, and I'm going to show you what that means. It's not complete sentences, it's bullets, and I'm going to show you in the next page. Leadership activities. So then there's a third section. And if you're somebody that's taken on leadership roles, and that's something employers love to see, by the way, you might title the third section leadership. If you're involved in lots of community service and you've done lots of things but you really haven't led the efforts, then maybe you call this section community service. If you're an athlete and you've spent the majority of your time in athletics, you might call this section athletics or sports. So there's lots of different ways, but this section is for the things that you've done outside of jobs and internships where you've gotten involved. And employers love to see involvement. So that's what's in that section. If you don't have this section, you just leave it off your resume. It's a good thing to build while you're in college, but not everybody has the ability to. I know at Mercy College, a lot of our students work full-time to put themselves through college, and they're not able to do internships as well. So everybody's situation is different. Lastly, it's skills. These are your technical skills, like your computer skills and your language skills. So even if you speak, beginning Spanish or, intermediate French or whatever, you're not fluent, you would still put that in your resume because people want to see, that's a great thing. That might set you apart from another candidate. I know I used to place interns at a French company, and they love, in the U.S., but they loved when students had any level of French in their resume. Spanish is a wonderful language to speak. If you're fluent or even beginning, you might be the only one who can communicate with Spanish-speaking customers and clients. So even at a basic level. So those are all great things. So I'm going to stop for 1 second and just see if anybody wants to ask me a question so far, and then I'm going to go into the resume. Are we all good? Everybody nod at me? Thanks, you guys. Okay, Catherine, we're on to the resume now, please. All right, I hope this isn't too tiny for you, but again, as I said, I can send you an actual format afterwards. So on the resume, at the top, you're going to put your name, your first name and your last name, and then your personal information, your email, phone, etc., across the top. On a lot of our formats, we put a nice line across the top to separate the top from the body. Not necessary, but I think it looks really nice. And it's all about making this really easy for the employer to read, and that makes it easy for them to kind of glance through the resume and see the information. So education. So you're going to put your college. If you're still in high school trying to get into college, you'd put your high school. And then you're going to put your formal degree name, so what you are studying, what you have declared as your major, and then what the formal degree name, so it's, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Arts, etc., in whatever you're studying. Typically with resumes, I know we advise students that if their GPA is 3.0 or above, to put it on the resume. If it's below 3.0, not to. Part of some employers, higher GPAs may get you more opportunities, but there are some employers that don't have a threshold and it's not that important to them. Salespeople, for instance, they're looking for that personality, not necessarily the GPA. So there's lots of different thoughts on that, but a strong GPA is great, and you put it on the resume. I would suggest if it's 3.0 or above. And then over on the right is when you expect to graduate. And that may change because things happen in people's lives. Things happen that may your graduation date may change. But again, remember, an employer is thinking about when they might bring you into the workforce. So they're thinking about, okay, this is a junior. Gosh, if they have an internship with us this summer and they're great, we can hire them to start next spring. So those are the kinds of things going through employers' minds on dates. Experience. So in the experience section, it's your jobs and internships, and it's in reverse chronological order. So you start with the most recent. So if you're currently working, your most recent work goes at the top. And the way we've designed this is we put where you're working, and then the city, state, and then below that the role you had. So this example, this student was an audit intern. So this is an accounting student who's an audit intern with the New York City Comptroller's Office. And that person did that. That was their most recent. This is, by the way, not a real person. This is a made-up resume, but this person did that last summer, and that's their last work/internship experience. So then before that it was Jackson Hewitt, where they were a tax intern. Before that they worked at the residential life on the college. So, different things in reverse chronological order. And then the bullets, what you do is you try to get concise statements of your accomplishments, not your responsibilities. So you wouldn't say responsible for making payroll, because that says somebody told you to do that, but it doesn't say what your accomplishments are. You want to have strong bullets. So bullets, things like documented research findings to be included in audit report, conducted research on several county agencies involved in the audit. So an employer can see right away what you did, what you accomplished in that internship or job. Any questions at this point? Okay, great. So, and I also have, if you'd like, I could also send you, we put together a whole sheet on verbs, helpful verbs to write resumes, because if you look down here, you see documented, conducted, analyzed, prepared. Every bullet should start with a verb. And those verbs are strong, impactful words. They make you sound impactful, like you made a difference in the job. You got things done. And so I have that sample. I'd also be really happy to share that with you guys as well. So you just put in, your reverse chronological order, your jobs and internships. And then you go to leadership and activities. And again, as I mentioned earlier, this could be different things. This could be different, if you're an athlete, this could be athletics. You're highlighting the things that you have done outside of school and work. Well, it might be activities at school, but one reason employers love to see leadership is if you've taken on, and I strongly encourage you, if you have the ability, to try to take on some kind of leadership role, whether it be organizing a race for breast cancer, whether it be on your campus in a group. But if you are taking on a leadership role, that makes employers think, A, you have that in you, and B, you're going to make a difference if you go to work for them. They like to see that person who's a self-starter, and they're looking for those kinds of things in what you did with your time while you were in college. So this person, this model person here, is part of the accounting society. So again, it's an accounting major. So they joined the accounting society and ran and became president. And before that, they were a member. So the president bullets are all the kinds of things that they did. So supervise the chapter's activities to ensure efficiency. So people also love to see what you did and proof points. So like what your work accomplished for the group, and what changes that you drove, like rewrote the agenda for the year, collaborate is a great word. People love everything's about collaboration. So leadership and collaboration, the ability to work with other people and get things done. Collaborate's a great word. That's a tip for your resumes. And then if you had two roles in something like this person did, your most current role is first, and your earlier role would go next, with bullets about what you did. And then this person, we added affiliations on this particular resume format because this person joined an association that's relevant for his or her major. So if you are, if there's, depending on what you all are interested in doing and what you're studying, if there's a relevant affiliation that you would join, you would add that as well. And you could put that at this point in your resume. If it's not relevant to you, you just leave that section off. And lastly, it's skills. And on skills, it's not, you're going to write a cover letter, and in your cover letter is where you're going to sell yourself. So that's where you're going to talk about your teamwork and your, all the kind of soft skills. This is more technical skills, like language and computer skills. So I mentioned earlier that employers are looking for communication skills. The other thing employers are looking for is the ability to work with the Microsoft suite. So if you're in finance or accounting, or you want to go into big business or even small businesses, and even a lot of times outside business, people are using PowerPoint and Word for everything. And everybody, these days, everything's data-driven as well, so Excel is a really important skill to have. So I encourage you, if you're not using the Microsoft Suite, to get familiar with it and use Excel for your personal budgeting at a minimum, so that you get, at least you can say that you have some experience with it. And Word and PowerPoint, most people, I think, are using in school today. So let me stop and ask if you have any questions. I'm going to go into some resume don'ts, but I wanted to just see if anybody had any questions they'd like to ask before I move on. Usually when I meet with a group, you guys, I like to start with learning a little bit about you, but this forum is a little harder for that. So like I said, happy to work individually with you after the session at any point that you need it. So Catherine, if you go to the next chart, please, the top 10 resume don'ts. That would be awesome. So top 10 resume don'ts. So don't get fancy. So again, employers are looking for crispness, good communication skills. So they want you to be able to put things down neatly and succinctly on your resume. You know, I've had students hand me a resume that they have, you know, pink and orange and green and purple balloons on their resume. That's not what employers are looking for. You don't want to stand out by your artwork unless maybe you're a graphic art designer student. Then maybe you're good, you know, or something in an extremely competitive field, and you're the artistic person. But if you're the person trying to get a job in a corporation or in a business or in, you know, a hospital or anything, you know, for the most part, stick really close to like just a crisp resume. Omit the references. So you don't need to add references or put, you know, references available upon request, because of course they are. You're going to send references if they ask you to. A lot of employers don't want references until you get down the pike a little bit. They don't want that extra information. Don't write incomplete sentences. Again, as I mentioned earlier, you don't say I did this. You just say, you know, completed blah blah blah, analyzed blah, you know what I mean? So it just starts with the verb. You don't need periods at the end because it's not complete sentences. Okay, so don't omit the numbers. So if you did something and it raised sales, so say you had a sales job, you sold clothes at Macy's, and you were a salesperson, and you were somebody that was able to increase sales, say 10% from period A to period B. You should put that 10% on your resume. Employers will love it when you quantify. And then you need to be able to talk about what you did to get the 10%. But to say increase sales by 10% second quarter over first quarter, love data like that. Quantify. Don't list your responsibilities. I mentioned that earlier, but it's not about what you're responsible for. It's about what you actually do or have done and gotten done, what you accomplished. That's what they're looking for. Don't include an objective. People used to include, and sometimes periodically you'll see resumes with an objective at the top, but remember at the beginning I said that it's not about what you want so much as it's about what the employer needs. So if you're starting your resume off with what you want, this is my objective, I want this and I want that, it's not what they're looking for. So I would be able to talk about what you're looking for in an interview, but I wouldn't put it on your resume. Don't forget to spell check. Spell check, spell check, spell check. Don't list your biker dude email address. So be thoughtful about what your email address is. So if you have an email address that's not real professional, like, and you know, I love, young people have wonderful creativity and come up with different email names, but think about, you know, you're in college, you're trying to create your professional self. So you want to make sure that your email address reflects that accordingly. Don't include your picture. So again, resumes don't need pictures. Employers, you know, need to be neutral when they're looking. They don't want to get into that space of they might have selected you or brought you in because of your picture. So don't include a picture. It's not necessary. And don't get too personal. Don't put hobbies and interests and stuff like that. You can always get into that if it's appropriate, you know, inside an interview. But it's your personal life. It doesn't need to be on your personal, your resume when you're applying for a job. So in my biography, I talk about, I have a little bio that I send out sometimes, but it just gives me some background on me. And in my bio at the bottom, I talk about I'm married, I have 3 children. But my resume has none of that because that's my personal information. So when I'm applying for jobs, the resume is all about my professional persona. Does that make sense? Any questions from here? Okay, are you guys learning anything from this? Okay,
Yes.
good. Thank you. Okay, so that's the resume. And now I want to talk a little bit, unless you have any questions on resume, feel free to ask if you have a, you know, specific question for yourself. I'm happy to answer it, or otherwise we'll move on to the cover letter section. Okay, great. Cover letter overview. So, and Catherine, if you could go to the cover letter overview slide, that would be great. Thank you. So generally, on a cover letter, you want to have a maximum of 3 paragraphs. It can be 4 if they're short, but don't write a whole page because employers don't have a lot of time and they're busy and they're looking at a stack of resumes and cover letters, and so you want to write it succinctly and try to get it done in 3 to 4 paragraphs at most. We suggest 3 single-spaced. The content of a cover letter, and we're going to go through an example in the next page, but the content of a cover letter, to the best of your ability, you address the letter to a specific person by name and title. So if you know that it's Jill Hart, Senior Director of Career Services, Mercy College, you'd want to write, you know, Dear Ms. Hart. You'd want to put my name in there, my title, and make it. If you don't have that, you can put To Whom It May Concern or Dear Hiring Manager. But it's an actual letter, so you need to have you need to be able to introduce it. So tailor your cover letter to the specific position and company. So we talked about this before, but do not send a generic cover letter because it will be seen through. So you need to address the things, and you know, I don't want to be a broken record. We've talked about this before, but address the specific things this job is all about. Highlight specific reasons why you'd be a good fit. So what have you done? We all have experiences and strengths and interests and talents, and you know, why are you going to be great for this job? And you know, you're creative and you're going to bring your creativity, or you're very numeric and you know, you're a great team player, and whatever it is about you, we all have different things. Sell that. Your cover letter, your resume is like your fact statement, and your cover letter is your selling. That's your selling page where you're going to sell yourself. So focus on what you'll bring to the company. Do a little research on the company. I mean, you know, there's information on every company these days on you know, their websites. So do some information on what the company says and why are you interested in that company. That's a great thing to get also in the cover letter. Highlight your specific experiences or skills that match what the employer is seeking. Before you send a cover letter, I have reread it out loud, check it for errors to make sure that it's flawless. So I literally read things out loud. I'm kind of a natural editor. I find mistakes easily, but you guys, I have done things where I've evaluated them 4 times, and the 5th time through have seen a spelling error, where I'm just like, how did that happen? But so you just need to be careful to read it out loud. You know, have somebody else look at it till you really get used to doing this. When you get used to doing it, you still read it and reread it out loud. Catherine, can we go to the next slide, please, which is an actual resume sample. So this is an actual resume cover letter sample. So you can see that it's in the format of a letter, not the format of a resume, but the format of a letter. And you have your information at the top. Don't forget your email address. and then the hiring manager or the person who's recruiting is the next section, and then it's a letter. Dear Mr. Jones, I am writing in reference, so be very clear on which job you're applying for. So lots of companies have lots of openings frequently, so they need to know which one you're applying for. So you say, I'm applying in reference to the entry-level financial analyst position posted on your website. Tell them where you found it. You might have found it on one of the public job sites. You might have found it on their website. Tell them where you found it. Your colleges, colleges all have, for the most part, should all have their own job and internship websites. So if you're not familiar with those, you should go to Career Services and familiarize yourself with the job and internship sites. I'm interested in this position because, and you talk about why you're interested in this role, and why you're interested in this company. So, and then you can say something about them, that makes them go, wow, this person not only wants this role, but she likes us as a company. And that's a great thing to do kind of in your opening paragraph. Second paragraph, in reading the job description, I see you're looking for someone with a minimum of 3 months experience in finance who is looking to build their career. And then she goes in to talk about why she thinks she fits that. So again, it's very customized to what the bank is looking for and who she is and why she's great in this job. So that's really where you're selling yourself. And then this person said I've enclosed my resume as well as submitted my application on your website. I'd be happy to provide you with references and any other information that may be necessary. Let me know if you have any questions or need anything else. The other thing I would suggest is that you always say you can always say I'd love to have an opportunity to interview for this position. Be very forthright. What do you want? You'd like to interview. And then sincerely in your name. And then this person, we put enclosure because they enclosed their resume as well. So I don't know how many of you have written cover letters, but a lot of students have not had any experience writing cover letters. So I hope it was helpful for you to have at least a sample that you can follow. And again, I could send the Word format of this as well if that would be helpful. So that's the cover letter. So the last page, if you want to go to, Catherine, just gives them, please, thank you, my biography. And gives you a little bit of my contact information, both my phone and my email address at work, and a little bit of background on me. I thought it might be interesting to you. But that's it. So I hope was that helpful to you? Did you learn some things? Does anybody have any specific questions they'd like to ask me? No? All right, well, great. Well, thank you for your time, everybody. Catherine, should we, are we good?
Sorry, yep, just had to unmute myself. All right.
Oh, I can't hear you.
There we go. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for coming to the Google Hangout. And if you want, to get in contact with Jill, I have her contact information. If you have more questions about resumes or cover letters, anything like that, sometimes it's a little easier to, email things and, one-on-one. So if that's okay with Jill, I can always get you guys her information. She's such a good resource to have. It's so good to have someone, check your resume, check your cover letters.
Absolutely. Even if it's 6 months from now and you're back at school and you're looking for an internship, I'm more than happy. Just reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you guys.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jill. This was
we have
great.
A question.
Oh, Jen. Oh. She froze a little bit.
Yeah.
Can we get a copy of the slides that you presented?
Sure. Catherine, you'll send that out to them?
Yep, I had sent it out, but I'll resend it to you. I'll make sure everyone has the slides and everything. It's a good thing to have. Yeah, for sure.
And my contact, like I said, my contact information is also on that top page, the last page. Okay? I wish you guys the best of luck. I think there's just wonderful things ahead for you. So good luck. I hope this was helpful.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye, guys.